Hello everyone and welcome back to Lux and Wine. My name is Caitlin if you're new here. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you haven't already and you're new here and you just found my channel, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell to get notifications when I upload a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it. And if you have any questions about these organizers that I don't answer in this video, please feel free to leave it in the comments down below and I'd be more than happy to answer your question. So just to get started, today I'm talking about Original Club and Samorga because these are the two organizer companies that I personally have experience with. So there are four major organizer companies that I am personally familiar with. If there are any others that you know of that are gaining some steam, definitely let me know in the comments down below. But the biggest one, without a doubt, the queen of all organizers, is definitely Samorga. I think they have the largest selection of products, and part of that is because they're made to order. They don't stock, which leads to extended transit time, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But Samorga's been around for a really, really long time. Now, Samorga's major competitor is a company called Zumoni. I am not really familiar with Zumoni. I do know one influencer that does promote for Zumoni, and from what I can tell, it is very similar. You'll notice that on none of the organizer sites can you find measurements. They're not gonna give you the measurements for their organizers. Now, when I did work with Original Club, they were kind enough to say what the measurements were, and I just had to email them and ask them, but they're not listed on their website. Samorga, on the other hand, if you email them and say, hey, can I get the measurements for this? I wanna make sure it's gonna fit, they won't give it to you. Original Club is the other major contender, I feel like, when it comes to all brands. So there is another organizer company called 7RP. 7RP is Hermes only, and they don't have a wide selection of products, but they are handmade. It's a lot smaller scale than Samorga. And Mel in Melbourne has talked about 7RP because she is a huge Hermes fan and pretty much exclusively works with 7RP when it comes to organizers for her Hermes bags. I don't own any Hermes bags, so I don't have a 7RP organizer, but they look pretty similar to what Samorga does. The other options for organizers are Amazon and Etsy. I have looked at Etsy, but with Etsy, again, it's kind of hard to tell and there's no return options. And I have seen a lot of hit and miss when it comes to quality on Etsy. Now, the other option, of course, is Amazon. I did try a couple of Amazon organizers when I was searching for this particular one for my Speedy 25. I was concerned about dye transfer. The quality of the felt was so terrible. And a lot of them had sharp edges, and I really didn't like that. Then they just felt terrible. And when it comes to a luxury handbag, the last thing you want is to reach into your bag and have the interior, the feeling of the interior of your bag feel cheap. And when these handbags are already so expensive, you really don't want a cheap feeling organizer. So that's where Original Club comes in. So Original Club definitely does organizers, but they do a kind of a different business versus Samorga. So they do the same thing as Samorga on a smaller scale when it comes to these felt organizers. And different from Samorga, they have only one thickness option versus Samorga has multiple thickness options. Both of them do custom work. One thing that Original Club does that Samorga does not do is Original Club offers leather organizers. Now, a leather bag organizer or other material other than felt is going to be heavier, so I did not go that route when I had this organizer custom made for my Valentino tote. So that is something to keep in mind though. Original Club also does base shapers, bag pillows, bag raincoats. They do all kinds of accessories. So it depends on what you're looking for. There is a wide breadth of products with both companies, which is why I'm comparing the two of them today, because they are the only two companies that I personally own organizers for. And most of the videos that I've seen comparing these two companies are either old or just really didn't have quite as much information as I was personally looking for when I originally started researching going to try an Original Club organizer when I was looking for an organizer for my Valentino tote. Oh, so I also forgot to mention that Original Club was actually started in 2011 and is based out of Istanbul, Turkey. So just to keep that in mind, we've got, this is from Turkey, this is from South Korea. Zumoni is also out of South Korea, and 7RP is out of France. So there are no domestic organizer companies that are large that I personally know of. However, if you know of one, definitely let me know in the comments below. But if you're looking for a liner for a Pochette Métis, if you're looking for something for a Celine bag, a Chanel bag, I mean, they have so many options. There are definitely more organizer options, more color options, more configuration options, and more options for bags in general on Samorga's site. Again, part of that's because they make everything to order, so they can have a wider breadth of product because they're not keeping those made all the time in stock in all 50 million colors. Original Club does have a lot of color options, but again, not quite as big a breadth of product. And again, we also have thickness options here versus we do not here. We only have one thickness when it comes to the felt organizers, but again, they do have other organizers. The other customization option that Original Club offers that Samorga doesn't is Original Club will actually let you do a monogram on here if you want to. So that's a really cool thing. I actually didn't know they did that because I totally would have got that done. I didn't know that was an option. The other thing I want to point out that is the biggest factor that most people run into when they're going to buy a bag organizer, for a bag they really want to carry and they want their organizer to either keep their things organized. So I like having a bag organizer for bag shape, but for me it's also about protecting my bag. That's really the biggest thing and the whole reason why I got into bag organizers to begin with, because, you know, with the felt, and then a lot of times these are all removable, and both companies do this. Let's say you spill a water bottle in your bag. Let's say you spill a lip gloss. A lip gloss leaks. Hand sanitizer now being a part of our everyday life, if your hand sanitizer leaks in your bag, hand sanitizer is chock full of chemicals, and that hand sanitizer will strip, damage, cause dye transfer. I've actually seen liquid stains from an interior leak actually go through a bag to the bottom. So this is really gonna help. I mean, obviously if something major happens, eventually it's gonna soak through. The main thing is that this is gonna really help reduce wear and tear on the interior of your bag, which will help the longevity of your bag in addition to keeping it organized and keeping it from looking terrible over time. And then you can also take these out. I often take them out when I'm in between uses, and I will lint roller them or shake them out or do whatever I need to do. You can have these dry cleaned. I've never personally done that, and I haven't even had to spot clean mine. This is my oldest one down here, which is the one for my Neverfull. But I really have just lint rollered it, and that's it. In fact, it doesn't even really have any little balls of fabric or anything that I need to shave off. So, I mean, it's really worn well. But the biggest thing between these two is really transit time. The processing time, if you order a Samorga organizer today, is 15 to 20 business days just for them to make your organizer. Then after they make your organizer, the shipping time to the US, the transit time is 2 to 3 weeks. So you're really looking at a good 6 weeks or more. So you're definitely looking at almost 6 weeks to get your Samorga organizer once you have ordered it. So for some people, they're just not willing to wait for that. And so that's where kind of Original Club, I think, really got their foothold in the door to get people their organizers faster, even though they don't have as many options. Their processing time is 3 business days. And then their transit time to the US from Turkey is 1 to 3 days. So you can have a organizer within a week. Now, custom takes longer with both. I want to say that I had my organizer custom made from Original Club and done in under 2 weeks. I know that Samorga's been working really hard. They just moved into a new facility and they are really working to cut down that transit time. What's going on from a pricing perspective, Original Club normally, outside of pandemic times, Original Club does run specials. And if you wanted to do custom work and you email them during a special, but you haven't agreed on something prior to the end of their sale. So that's actually what happened to me. And I had emailed them and Samorga trying to find out about getting this custom, trying to figure out what they had that would work for my Valentino tote. And when I emailed them, it was during a sale. The sale then ended. And then the day after the sale ended, I got another email saying, okay, so I know you haven't decided yet, but just letting you know, we're gonna honor the pricing because you emailed us while this special was going on, which I wasn't even paying attention to what was going on or that there was a sale. I just was looking for somebody who could help me. They were absolutely fabulous to work with. The original club, whoever it is that handles their customer service, was phenomenal, going back and forth. There was definitely a little bit of a language barrier, the same way as you'll have if you email Samorga. I think we went back and forth for about 4 weeks before we landed on the right, and I think we changed measurements twice before we ended up with the fit that I wanted on this organizer, the right configuration. And it doesn't look that complicated. I mean, it does not look like a really special organizer, but it is. It is fully custom fit the way that I want it to fit to my Valentino tote, which I've showed in previous videos. And when I did my Louis Vuitton versus my Neverfull versus my Valentino tote, I really go back and forth on this organizer and this organizer and show you guys how everything fits and how the organizers fit. It was a really, really great experience. And I think if I was gonna do custom work again, I would probably talk to Original Club first, just because they did such a great job. The only thing that I don't like about their organizers is the fact that they kind of are rounded on the bottom, which I don't know, you can't really see it. So let me pull this up a little bit. So I don't know if you can see, they are a little bit rounded. They're a little wobbly. They don't have as sturdy of a base. Now, once they're in the bag, you really can't tell a difference. That's the only real complaint, and that's really me looking for some con. The con that I have about Samorga really is just transit time. That's the only problem I have with them. So the reason why I didn't go with Samorga for my custom organizer is I emailed and I said, hey, I was wondering if you guys make a organizer for the Valentino tote. These are the dimensions of my tote. I was looking at this organizer for, I can't remember what, Louis Vuitton bag that I thought had similar dimensions. I emailed them and said, can I know the dimensions of the organizer for this bag? Because I think this organizer will fit my tote. If you can just let me know if that will work. And then instead of getting kind of my other questions answered, I got an email back that said, we don't give out dimensions. And especially with the beef between Zumoni and Samorga, as far as dimensions, Samorga is very private about their dimensions. So that was why I went with Original Club to begin with, just because that email kind of turned me off a little bit. No hard feelings towards Samorga, I get it now. I also want to point out that Original Club does non-luxury bag organizers, which I actually did not know this was a thing, or oh my gosh, I would have had organizers for my bags before. So they actually do organizers for Michael Kors and Everlane. Anyways, they do like organizers for contemporary brands too. So I thought that was really interesting. So also something to note about Original Club, if you don't have a luxury bag, but you're looking at a contemporary designer bag organizer, check out Original Club. One thing I want to say different between the two, the website navigation. The website for Original Club is a lot easier to navigate. It's easier to find things. Samorga's website's just really difficult to find what you're looking for, if that makes sense. The search function doesn't work really, really well. And the products are kind of listed weird. The filters are hard. It just doesn't navigate easily. If you've been on their site, you'll understand what I'm saying. Original Club's a lot easier to navigate. Their search function works well. Their homepage navigation is really easy to find all the products that they offer, or specifically what you're looking for. So I do wish that Samorga would spend a little bit of money on reworking their website, because I would love for it to be easier to find what I'm looking for. So when I'm shopping for future bag organizers, I can compare more easily between the two companies. So the organizers that I have from Samorga are this one for my Speedy 30, which has the removable center compartment. And I talked about this one in my Samorga video, as well as this one, which is for my Speedy 25, which also has the insert you saw me take out. These are basically the same organizer, the only difference being just a little bit the size, and then this one has an iPad sleeve. This was my very first bag organizer ever. They no longer make this at Samorga, but I love this organizer. This is the one that I have in my Neverfull, and it has a laptop sleeve. This was why I was looking for a custom organizer that had this configuration. And Samorga had also told me in that email that they did not make this configuration anymore, and they could not custom make this configuration, which they may be able to, and I might have misunderstood that, but it was my understanding in the email exchange that they did not make this anymore, and they could not make this as a custom order either. I do not know why, but that was what I was told. I don't always use the center compartment in this in my Neverfull. So you'll notice that this is basically the same thing, only I had them make the pocket for the laptop a little bit smaller. So I basically had this made to improve upon the design of this one, because this was my original, I bought my Neverfull in 2018, bought this for it and used this. That was my only work bag almost every day for work when I wasn't traveling on an airplane, because I mentioned before I do not use my Neverfull on airplanes. I do not like open bags without zippers that don't close on airplanes. So this was my everyday work bag when I wasn't flying. And so I really, really loved it. It worked really well, but I wanted something smaller, which is why I bought the Valentino tote, and then subsequently wanted an organizer. And just as a reminder, if I didn't say it earlier, there are no companies that make any organizers for Valentino that I know of at this time that I'm making this video, because I did a lot of research trying to find one when I had this one made. This was really what I wanted it for. I'd never really had a water bottle holder before, but I do now travel with a water bottle in my work bag, which I did not do previously. And then I had the slots. I asked for no slots on the outside because I really don't like putting things in between the bag and the organizer. So this one also doesn't have, it has the pockets on this side, but it doesn't on the opposite side. And I never use these pockets on the outside. So I didn't want any outside pockets. And then I actually had this organizer widened just a little bit wider than what they recommended to adapt to the fact that the Valentino bag is slightly tapered down because it's a tote. And so I wanted it to fit a little more snug so that things wouldn't fall into the sides. So all in all, the experience was really good. So it really just depends on what you're personally looking for in an organizer. Do you need something custom? Do you need it fast? Do you like the configurations? Because the other thing I want to point out is the configurations, although similar, are not identical. Samorga's designs and Original Club, I don't know about Zumoni. Again, I haven't really done a lot of research on them, but the Original Club designs and the Samorga designs do offer different features and different pocket configurations. So that might be a factor too when you're looking at a long-term solution for organization. Wine is so good. The last thing I'm gonna do is show you the organizers in the bag so you can kind of see the difference. So I've done a video on these two totes, comparing them and talking about these organizers. So if you've already seen that, I go into depth on what goes in my bag and how it looks and everything. This is really just mainly about these two organizer brands than it is about the bags. So if you want to see more about these bags, check out that video below. I also have a bag completely dedicated to the two Speedy organizers and what's in my bag on the two Speedies, how they fit and all that. So you can check out that video as well. As you can see, this Samorga organizer, which I said is my oldest, is still pretty structured, but it is not as sturdy. It's still flexible like the newer ones, but you can definitely feel that this one's starting to break down a little bit, but it still really holds the structure of the bag very well. So my Neverfull is not very like slouchy or squishy. I mean, it's squishy because it's a couple of years old now, but it is not really saggy or broken down because I actually store my organizer in this bag and I never use this bag without the organizer. When you look at this one in the bag, because the Neverfull doesn't have a lot of shape, it kind of sags in there because there's nothing in there, but there is actually, with the Samorga organizer, a little bit more space around the organizer. So if you're not paying attention, you could definitely end up with things around the organizer in the bag instead of in the organizer. That's specifically something I've experienced with this bag. I do not have that issue with the Speedies, so I think it's just mainly with this bag, but also part of that is the fit of the organizer in this bag versus in the Valentino bag, this organizer would have fit that way too, but I did ask them, because I had it custom made, to be a little bit more snug, because I was getting kind of annoyed with that problem with this particular bag. I was tempted when I originally had this made to possibly do the leather. However, I ended up not doing it because this bag is already pretty heavy. In fact, I wanted to weigh it for you guys. I didn't have this luggage scale at the time that I made the video about this bag, and I was talking about how heavy it was, and I was wondering how heavy it actually was because I didn't weigh it in that video. This bag is 2.3 pounds empty, which is pretty heavy. So the Neverfull GM, which you can see is a lot bigger. Let's see how much that weighs with the organizer in it, because my Speedies are under 1 pound each. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, they're the exact same weight, but look how much bigger that is versus this one is mainly those studs are weighing it down. That is hilarious. And that would explain why this bag also just feels so much heavier, because once you start putting things in it, then you add the organizer weight and you add everything else. It's gonna stick out a little bit because again, there's something in there, but as you can see, it's a way more snug fit on the sides and then front to back as well. It is a very snug fit organizer, but I really think it looks great. It looks really good in the bag. The only issue with an organizer in this bag is you'll definitely see with leather bags, sometimes, I don't know if you can just barely see it with the lights, but you'll get a line right there from that kind of sag over that line sometimes. I don't think that's with all bags. I don't have that problem with the Neverfull, and I have no evidence of my organizers in the Speedies at all. So I really think that either way, it's a great, great option. I highly, highly recommend that you have a bag organizer for all of your luxury bags. And if you don't have a bag organizer, but you're somebody who's clumsy or has a tendency for things to leak in your bag or things to stay in your bag, or that is a concern of yours, I highly recommend you do a bag liner. So if you did a bag liner, it would basically look like this, only it would have no pockets and it would fit whatever bag you ordered it for in the color of your choice. And I know, I think it's Melon Melbourne actually has the Hermes Evelyn, and she does contrasting colors to her Evelyn, so you can see the colors through the H, which is really cool. Or like for me, I really liked the hot pink to contrast with my white Damier Azur Speedy 25 so that it's a little bit more fun. Versus the rest of these, I really like having more matchy-matchy with my organizers. That's Samorga versus Original Club. Like I said, they do enough different things that I can definitely see myself being a client of both companies in the future going forward. There really isn't one that wins over the other in all categories. They really, like I said, they just do different things. And it just depends on what I need and what I want at the time. But anyways, I hope this helped you guys. If you guys were looking for organizers, you want to know more about Samorga organizers, or specifically Speedy Samorga organizers, I have another video about that. And like I said, I've talked about these two totes before and shown what fits in these organizers at length. This video was really more specifically about the companies and the product differences, transit time, and of course, what you can expect to find when looking for a handbag organizer. So I hope this video helped. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, hit that button down below, ring that bell. That'll let you know when I upload a new video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure to give me a comment down below and let me know if you've tried any of these organizers, either of these companies. Have you seen another company that's making good organizers that you've tried, that you like, that you know about? And if you haven't already, don't forget to follow me on Instagram @LuxandWine for daily updates. And I will see you next time. Bye, everyone.